Yo, hey, this is Anthony from West Coast Custom Concrete, the best in the West. This is a job I did in Whittier. I believe right before Thanksgiving we did this. We've been really busy with both my daughters' birthdays, Christmas, all that stuff. Hope everyone had a nice New Year's. This is a very special job. Shout out to Chris, the homeowner. The marketing I have on YouTube and the people I meet are just, it's so nice, the customer base I have. What we're doing here is we're going to demo this driveway out. It's probably one load, 800 square feet, the driveway. And then in front of the house, you'll see a brick little planter wall. We're going to take out, make it a sidewalk so they can at least utilize it and use it. And then we're going to put some a floating porch with a floating step below it with what we got. See, there's a brick wall. This is all like early 80s work, probably. You can tell by looking at it. You can really tell the styles in California and the era it was poured at. I can look at the joints or the way that they did it, the way they finished it, what era it was done in, what decade. Brick in California was really popular. This kind of look with the brick ribbons and stuff like that. This whole job probably calced to 15 yards or something. But we got to do. I did a live on this, so you can check the live out too if you guys want to see. And another thing I want to go over is a little bit of that guy brought the bathroom out to me. If you're in Orange County and need a porta potty, he was awesome. And they come and clean it every day also. I don't want to go and bring everyone into the homeowner's house. If it's just me, Ladybug and I, or one other person, I'll just use the bathroom. But when we got a lot of guys out there, I don't want. He didn't care, but I did. I don't want people going in and out of his house. What I want to address is some business on this because I'm getting an influx of calls like more than ever about pumping, starting a Bobcat business. I've really stoked a fire around the United States and a lot of different areas. And I've changed a lot of people's business the way they were going to do it in a 5-minute conversation. I'm really good at it. And out of all the construction trades, concrete's the best trade without any question, the highest paid. You can justify how much money you can make with heavy equipment like this. You can pump concrete. The other trades like a plumber, you just put the pipes in. There's honor in all of it, but you put the pipes in, no one sees it. Drywall goes over it, electrical. They can YouTube a lot of it and do a lot of DIY stuff. With concrete, you're not getting a DIY. No homeowner or DIY is going to demo all this, set it all up, and pour it in elevations. You have to have a certain talent. That was 4 yards of base. Ortega, thanks. I've known him forever. Dropped me 4 yards off in the morning. You need a special talent. You can't get DIY people trying to do it with elevations of water going towards the house. And like I was saying about the YouTube influx, there's like 4 YouTubers out here today who came out here. Shout out to Al, um, Romeo, and I got to remember the other guys' names. I will in a second. Right now, Brian. Shout out Brian. And I'm just going to spread this base out. So I'm structuring a lot of people's businesses. And like when you pull through a neighborhood, roofing, you got to have a roof and be a roofer. But people don't say, "Oh, I love your roof." With concrete, it's decorative also, and it's the most used construction substance in the world, probably from 2,000 years ago. I'm just going to spread this base out and compact it because the soil was a little. I wasn't too happy with it, but it wasn't that bad because we let it air out for 3 or 4 days or so. There's my boy Javier. You guys know him all well. He's Refined Concrete Solutions. That's the name of his company. You guys know, awesome dude, best guy around. Milton comes on this one with him. And as far as the business, people don't understand every area, the Midwest, the South, the East Coast, the West Coast. There's so many different variables that I know now from talking to people, but I got to know where you're from because a lot of people want to start in concrete. And you could start as a laborer, which is the long route, work your way up and be a finisher. And then either start your own contracting or be a freelance finisher like they have on the West Coast, which pays 400 a day. Or you could start in the pumping industry. And in the West Coast, I wouldn't start there. I started there, but when I did, it was unbelievable money and time and what you could do. That's Brian's right there. He's out of LA. And when I started pumping, it was affordable. It wasn't. There weren't $100,000 pumps, and that's just nuts and what they're charging. But in other states like Louisiana, Kentucky, New York, Texas, all over, I've set people up with pumps. And one guy made 300 grand last year, and he just started his pump company. That's what he told me. So in other states, I would start with the pump. And on the West Coast, I would start with a Bobcat and a dump trailer and a truck, and then buy a pump, or vice versa. If you start with the Bobcat, keep working to get in a pump too, because after you demo it, someone's going to come and pump it. There's the best in the West, the best on YouTube, the best you're going to see. The standard I've set for the customers I have and the work that I do. I don't really want to get into stuff like this, but there's another YouTuber who bid this, and I was 10,500, and I'm not kidding, higher, and they hired me because they want a certain detail and a certain level. You can bullshit people on YouTube and, oh, you're jealous or you're a hater, but if you see what I do and what I make and the level of detail and the level of concrete that I do, you can charge 10,000 more than another guy and literally get it because of the way you represent yourself. You don't sound like a dummy. You got to, lay down details and bring out the best people. These people want to save money and hire cheaper finishers or cheaper pumpers, and it shows. And people who have money know. The guy said he watched me for 4 years, 3 years. This guy, shout out Chris, awesome guy. That's D Romeo on TikTok, on all platforms. TikTok, excuse me. He's been pumping probably 4 years. He's a friend of mine. He has his own pump. He came out and helped me because I was going to be doing the live, and I just wasn't into it, and he was slow, and it was right before Christmas. So if I could hook anyone up to make extra money, I will. I could have just pumped it, but here's a truck. It's a little foggy in the morning. We got one load. We're pouring that day, I think. Maybe a load plus. I don't remember. But as far as the business goes, you could start as a laborer, or you could and work your way up to finishing and then contracting. Or some people, there's different lanes for everyone. Don't want to be the front guy and don't want to sell and do that. So they just going to be finishers and stuff like that. But if you get a Bobcat, a dump trailer, I wouldn't suggest a dump truck with all the insurances, the maintenance, the price of diesel, just the whole thing. It just soured me. And when I went down, when I had all that equipment and my business was big, that was Achilles' heel for my business. Once I started cutting off insurances and bills, and I was going down, people who watched me long enough know I crashed out from the '08 recession, and those dump trucks were just not. You can get guys that have them and just pay them per load or per day, you know. But this is the crew here. I mean, the level of work that I do and I lay down is world known. Everybody knows what level I'm at. So the consulting business I do, I could literally just consult. I don't even have to work really and do concrete probably. I could probably just have a full consulting business. And I've been, so many people would have made mistakes, but I showed them what pump to buy because all the people that want to get into pumping and they want to pump like this, a ball valve pump, is not going to work probably in the Midwest, in a lot of areas where where they don't use pea gravel, and you have to. It'd probably take you a year to convince everybody how viable it is and how much faster it is and how much money you save with all the labor. I mean, look, we're just laying it down as we go. Just watch. There's nobody raking, sweating. One shovel guy, two guys on a rod stick, and away you go. I mean, this is just like a 20-minute load driveway. Just and we could go faster if we wanted. Romeo and I were talking, and Milton was telling him to hurry up. So we could just keep going, and I could turn this pump up and just smoke this load out in 10 minutes if I want to. But there's no reason to pump like that. I mean, but you could if you want to. That transition was fire. And then becoming contracting and stuff. What I've noticed about a lot of contractors' business, their fire lacks fuel for their marketing, and you could start an inferno and just dump fuel right on the fire and make an inferno with social media. That's what I've done. It's been a blessing for me. I mean, just what I've accomplished with it, everything I put up here, it's something I'm proud and something I want to show. It's not a circus or a show or, you know, there's people on here with a lot of subscribers, and they're just making fun of people and making them look stupid, and they're making money off of it. But they're not. It's not a concrete channel. If it was just about their concrete, we didn't have a short 2x4 stick, so we just grabbed the 2x6 and just turn and burn it. Is that my boy Milton? Yep, that's my boy Milton, both floating it out. We had a nice day. We've been having like 75-degree weather. But the biggest scam I've ever seen, to me, seems like a job. It's like you're broke when you start a regular job, and in 40 years you're still broke. So that's why I think going independent and in construction, there's lacking people, especially young people. That's why there's so many young people. Right when they see me and they hear me, they're like on the phone. I've got an influx of 3 to 10 calls daily of people that want to pump where they're at or come to my job and check it out. So there's going to be a lot of people coming. There's people coming from Australia in the summer. I'm gonna what I'm gonna do, so people understand different areas. Somebody from the East Coast, the Midwest, the South, and I'm going to represent the West Coast. Real good concrete guys from each area are going to come to my live with the Australian guys here, and we're going to go over different mix designs, what they use, what tools they use, what we use, what the difference is, why we do this, why they do that. And when you're learning from anybody, I don't take anybody's word. I always ask why, and then I decipher the answer later in my head. It keeps going through till I get a compromising answer. Like, no, that's not right. So a lot of information I got was I just knew this just doesn't sound right. Plus, I would look at the guy and his crew and their work they were laying down, and sometimes most of them didn't really give a crap. They would leave. No one on the job spoke English. I'm pumping. I could communicate with them, but the homeowners and stuff couldn't. So I watched that because I was originally a concrete pumper. Not just a concrete pumper, but that's what I did. But there's a lot to that. That's a full learning curve there. And I did it blind. I just grabbed a pump, bought a pump, and went. Never did concrete, never did construction, never sold, never marketed. And I just blew, you can see the intelligence of the way I run it, the way that I look at my channel. Just go through my playlists and stuff and look at my channel and look at every other concrete channel on here. There's a lot of misinformation and a lot of people that I don't count them as concrete, like on YouTube. I don't know what their channels are. Here's cutting the joints here. Probably got an 8-foot torpedo, cut it straight down the middle. These lines are so straight. The homeowner had a keen eye. He was watching everything. He was cooler than heck. Look at that cutting. I mean, look at the talent to this, how everyone's synchronized. I want to put up the highest talent, and I wasn't happy with the way people were representing the industry on here, so that's why I brought in what I did and started saying I got to separate from these people, and I started putting up stuff I knew they couldn't do, like the floating stairs with lights, and I was trying to come up with a signature thing that I'm known for, like when I go to Home Depot or supply yards, like, oh, you're the guy who does the stairs, right? When I go in, somebody will hit me up. That's what I want, exactly what I wanted to lead people by the nose to. That's what I did. So you want to be known as not cheap, but good, but worth it. That's the way I would look at it. Don't hire drug addicts. I mean, as you're going, it's kind of hard to find people, and you're green and you're learning too, the way I was when I started from ground zero. I'd never worked for anyone. I'd never done concrete. And I hired some stupid people. I mean, it's just inevitable. But if you have experience and you were a little bit, more people sense at the time than I was, you don't have to go through that. But I hired some dummies through the years. If I could think about someone, it's like, oh my God. And they're always the guys who have a Home Depot bucket with trowels in it, tell you how to run your business. It's friggin' insane. And you just, you got to delegate it. You can't have people wanting to ruin your equipment or anything by telling them they're stupid. You just sit there and got to listen to that shit and get rid of them. You got to make money with what you got. I understand. But once you're in the game, just keep your eyes open and keep looking. Keep looking for good people. And you have to treat them right. It's not like people on here that'll sit there and make fun of people and they're late and they suck, and then they're going to try and start their own channels with under your name, and they work for you, and the work is terrible. People send me stuff. I'd be embarrassed. I'd pay them not to put that stuff up. But it just goes to show no one has any scruples. They don't care. They want fame. They weren't recognized with their presence alone. They think they're famous people on here. It's ridiculous. You can get known. You can get known on here. You're not famous, but you can get known, and that's what you want. But you want to be known in the industry of people who want work, because YouTube will change the algorithm. You could lose a big income off YouTube because of who knows what circumstance or what's in the algorithm. It's constantly changing. Whatever money you make, that's a blessing. But if you get work off of it and they're saying, I saw you on YouTube, you're on the right path. Here's the floating steps we put in here. The other guy bid it for just square steps coming out, and originally that's what I was going to do. And then when he gave me the job, I just said, "Hey, just let me float these for you for same price. It's going to cost me a couple grand more because I got to come back and strip them, import, and the short load and new group of finishers to do it for them. But it's just collateral, for people that are good and hire you like that. You're 10 grand higher than the next guy, and he wants your work. That says something. I'm going to give more without them asking. So I floated these out for him, the porch. And then the walkway came out really nice in front, right where Milton Jr. Oh, shout out Milton. I forgot he was there. I didn't remember who came out. This job was before Thanksgiving, so it was a while back. We've been on a little hiatus. We're over here in California with 75-degree weather. That's a nose tool or upper step tool. So if you guys do floating steps or you're doing any kind of steps, you need that to strip and face them wherever you're at. And in a lot of the Midwest and other states, I've seen they don't do it. So if you start doing it, you'll have a different level and people will start asking who did the work. There's some YouTubers. That's Brian right there. I'm going to have a lot of different people. And then when I bring the people from each part of the U.S. and they explain the 4-foot freeze or the mixes they use or why they don't use steel trowels, and then the guys from Australia will talk. So we'll cover every kind of climate. I think it's very important because people call me and I almost misinform them. And I say, wait, where do you live? And the guy who called yesterday said Utah or Idaho. I don't know. I had a bunch of calls and I'm like, oh, no, this pump won't work there. So it will. You can use pea gravel anywhere you want, but people they just can't change. They don't understand. They used to use 3/4 rock out here. You're in a freeze. You're in the West Coast. You're in the East Coast. You're in St. Louis. It doesn't matter. You can use pea gravel. 4,000 psi is 4,000 psi. I mean, why would the top pop off pea gravel and it's 4,000 and 3/4 rock is not? It just. But it's easier to fool people than convince them they've been fooled. So I just go with it. There's a little broom on the ribbon we put in. He wanted this design. You guys seen it? It's kind of my signature. I came up with a long time ago, and a lot of customers like it. Some houses it works at, some it doesn't. These houses are early '60s, I believe, so it looks really good. The neighbor next door was really nice. We had to go on his property to do that and stuff. I mean, look at the level of this work. When you do this and customers see this, and they see your operation and what you got going, it's a no-brainer. I can cruise through a bad economy. I mean, by the grace of God, but I just kept thinking how to get better and better and better what I was doing. And I don't wanna, you could do residential concrete, you could do commercial, you could have a big gig, depends how much time you want to put into it, but you can't worship money and God and money. You have to pick one or the other because they don't go together. So I make enough and I give people bonuses and do stuff and have money if my kids or anyone needs anything. It's no problem. And you don't got to put it on camera. I have money for myself. I'm extremely blessed. I mean, I almost can't believe it. This is like the happiest I've probably been in my life. So things can always get better. And people who know and watch my early videos, they know I was homeless. I lived in a field probably the first, I don't know, I think 20 videos or more. And I had a little bit of equipment left. I lost the fleet, mainly everything, but I had enough to start back. And if you look at the old videos, you can see it with that dump trailer I had, that that old breaker I had, just all that stuff I had. And now you don't have to have a lot. Doesn't mean that you're making money. There's a thing called gross and net. And when you're in business, you need to know. And when you call me regarding the pump, you need to know the variables. You got to talk to the dispatcher. You got to know how many pounds of rock per yard, how many pounds of sand, because I know all that stuff, and I know what will go through a 2-inch line, what will go through a 2.5, 3-inch line, whatever you need. So because if you're going to buy an $50,000 pump, and I don't know that you're in a freeze area and you buy a pea gravel pump and they use 3/4 rock, I mean, you got to realize I get a lot of calls because people call me. People called me on Christmas, asked me about a pump. Thanksgiving, every day, Sunday morning. It's like, God, dude, give me a break. It's not a big deal, but just be considerate. you know. But people get excited because it's a whole, you're talking about a career, which is pretty important. Independence and being your own boss is the most important thing for me. The freedom that it gives me. I've spoke about it a lot. I could yeah, I could be loaded. I could be rich, no problem. But I'm rich in different ways, so I am. But just the way other people look at it, I don't know what they define as happy or rich. I guess it's individual thing. But there's no um, stuff, a house, a car that can make you happy. There's tools you can use that you need. I need the truck that I have. Shout out Ollie. He brought the concrete. He's my buddy. I was actually at a supply yard in, I believe, La Habra. And he pulled up to me and said, "Oh, bro, I bought a pump because of you." Or an S70, I think he said. That's why I met him. He's got a Bobcat, a pump, and a concrete truck. So when I'm not in Orange County and Johnson can't come out, it's out of his. This is Ali's area. So there's we floated that. There's a step right there too. So this porch and everything and this job, you'll see it at the end. It's just completely mint. I guess I pumped that day. That old Romeo was there. So it's a piece of cake. Depends what kind of pumps you want, where you're at. We could figure it out. But I'm doing a lot of consulting. So if you want to be consulted, I'll save you from the difference between failing and succeeding 100%. I succeeded with no YouTube, no experience, didn't know one person in the trade, never done it, never seen it be done. For the first 2 years, I pumped concrete only, and then I had three pumps, and then I bought a Bobcat, a dump truck, a breaker, and a dump trailer, and I just demoed and pumped for other contractors. And I'd never seen concrete be finished probably I want to think 6 or 7 years. It could have been 10. I didn't know the tools. I could care less about it. I just ran my service. I'd never done it. I watched it all. I saw it all. I knew how to price it all. And after that recession, when I came back, I had a kind of shitty equipment and stuff. And I just started contracting. I got a license in '09 because the economy changed in '08. I got a contractor's license with no intentions of ever using it. I was just trying to diversify because I truly believed I'll keep pumping and having a Bobcat service for all the residential concrete companies. I mean services. So then after that, they went out of business because the housing market crashed so bad. I just started to hang with this, and that's how I got into it. I basically started contracting right when I started YouTube, but I knew a lot of like thousands of people were. I already knew them from pumping concrete and everything I was doing. I knew all the. I could make a call, and get the guys. So I didn't have to worry about finding someone to set up or finding somebody to pour. I don't think different areas they have a network like that. We're out here. I would call them freelance concrete finishers. Probably make 100K a year, right? At 90K a year at 400 a day. Yeah, and you could work here a lot. I mean, there's so many. You rarely miss here from the weather or the rain. And pumping concrete, stay in shape. It's pretty easy to do. I like the Bobcat too. It's just longer days. If you run that service, it's a little bit longer, but they're all really good. I mean, it's the best trade of all construction because you can't say, "Oh, I got an idea, a general idea how to pour concrete. We'll just do it ourselves. Oh, we'll knock this patio out, this 8 yard patio. We'll wheelbarrow it and throw it in bins, and then we'll set it up and pour it." And then they start getting in the expenses and how much is the concrete? Oh, you need a pump. Oh, the water floods towards your house. It's just something that only a 10-year pro can do. You're not going to come out here and DIY what I just did here. It's just it's not happening. And then you're going to look at some horrible concrete. So they don't do that out here. So they can DIY plumbing and electrical stuff and roofing and framing and all kinds of stuff I see people do, smart people, but they're not going to pour the concrete. They always say, this is the one thing I couldn't do. So for me, it's the place to be, would be in concrete of any trade, especially pumping or demoing. You don't have any employees, you don't have any hassles. COD, I always did COD. That's why I got totally out of commercial. But if you're the kind of guy that wants retention and all these insurances and taxes and you get into commercial, you can do it, but you're going to spend 75% of your life, 80% working and doing paperwork. That's the beauty of the steel trowel there. You can get this to just a shine perfect finish. So when you guys call me up, kind of do a little homework about what mixes you guys use, what's your climate, does it freeze 4 feet, it's snow and ice, what mixes you use. Because I got to tell everybody, and then they got to go find out and call the dispatcher, call me back. See how we out here, we face everything that's going to be, you can visually see. We strip every form, everything that's going to be faced. The only thing that we leave in is a 4x4 till the next day, because no one's walking on anyway, and you don't want that ledge just to fall on its own. You want to let it set up on top of something like they're doing here. See, it's all got to be stripped. That 4x4 underneath will stay, and we'll pull it the next day. Look how good that looks. We put a big, you guys saw the beginning, what it looked like. I wanted to really widen the sidewalk up and make it a grand entrance for them for the size of the house, and it fit the neighborhood. The lights and all that didn't fit the neighborhood. So you just got to keep that in mind too. This is all detail. Milton is a top finisher. Javier, Milton Jr.'s out there, and I think Jonathan, both of Milton's sons are here. So I should have some good stuff coming up. I hopefully we got really, I want to do some foundations, stuff like that, different stuff I'm looking for. But the floating steps are always going to be in there because that's what I've marketed myself, and I did. First, I tried to market that concrete bench, if you guys ever saw it, and then they didn't want. People were like 50 grand. Everyone he called and wanted that thing. And then when I started telling them get 50 grand, then they went away. And then I started marketing that Stairway to Heaven, and I was getting one call after another, but they're all in Los Angeles and stuff. So that complicates, hour and a half of traffic, 2 hours for me. So I didn't want to do that either. So then I'm like, dang, what could I do? And the floating steps I had done a set, they were right in front of me. I just didn't think that they were that hard to do or big a deal. So I didn't focus on it. And then it came to me one day, I'm just going to start doing these because no one else is going to post them. Everyone else posts the same. So we're stamping. Oh boy. Oh, another driveway. Wow. I think that's why people try and steer away from their work on here. They don't really show it. They definitely don't zoom in on it. And they definitely don't go back and show it. And you can speak frank. We're talking business. There's nothing personal. And it's factual what I'm saying. So you can look at my channel. It's etched in history on the search engine of YouTube and with a timeline. Look at that. You guys saw that when we tore it out, what it looked like. He's lowering all the grass. So he's taking all the grass out and redoing it. So we set the elevations. That's a sweet finish, huh? See how the water runs up perfectly on everything we do? Just drip straight down and go straight down the middle and out. Nice big sidewalk. They couldn't even utilize that before. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but it just had that little brick planter wall. He's getting the house stuccoed and painted, and he's redoing some of the wood and fascia up above, and he's redoing the front yard. Because I told him the bobcat might tear your yard up, but he said, "Oh, I'm gonna tear out the yard." So this is another 10 from West Coast. If you want a design like this and top quality people, give us a call. It's West Coast Custom Concrete on all forms. Shout out to everyone from YouTube that came out. Al, D. Romeo, Brian. Shout out to Chris, the homeowner. Look at that. See, we zoom up and really show it, and we'll come back. Some jobs I've came back three years later and refilmed them. It's a really nice look. Contemporary for the neighborhood. It fits perfectly. I don't want to overdo anything. And there's a good tight look at everything. I implore anyone else to zoom up like that on their stuff or go back. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys on the next one.